Taira Korechika's Punishment of Fujiwara Mora 5th chapter. Once upon a time, there was a man called Middle Captain Sanechika. He became the governor of Mutsu province and traveled to that land. Because he was a nobleman of great renown, all the soldiers and dignitaries of the province treated him with utmost respect and hospitality, showing him continuous devotion both day and night, unlike how they had treated previous governors. During this time, there was a man named Taira no Korechika. He was the son of Musashi Governor Shigenari and the eldest son of Kazusa Governor Kanatada, but was also raised as the adopted son of his granduncle, Taira no Sadamori, the governor of Tanba province, and was referred to as Yogo-kun. Likewise, there was a man named Fujiwara no Moroton. He was the grandson of the famous warrior Fujiwara no Hidesado, also known as Tawara no Tota. He was called Sawa Kashi no Shiro. These two men quarreled over a boundaryless field and paddies. Both claimed to be in the right and presented their cases to the governor. Both seemed to have valid arguments, but because they were both prominent figures in the province, the governor hesitated to make a decision. Eventually, Senechika's term ended after 3 years, leaving the matter unresolved. This left both men in frustration and anger, unable to find peace. Furthermore, malicious rumors spread by meddling individuals worsened their relationship, turning what had been a moderate dispute into a serious conflict. Thus, they eventually prepared for battle. Korechika gathered about 3,000 men, while Moroton had a force of over 1,000, making him outnumbered. Seeing the odds, Moroton decided to flee to Hitachi province, abandoning the fight. Hearing this, Korechika mocked him, saying, "As I thought, he dares not face me." However, the soldiers Korechika had gathered grew weary of the prolonged standoff and began returning to their home provinces. Rumors and advisors also convinced Korechika that there was no point in pursuing the fight any further, as Moroton was rumored to have sought refuge in distant provinces like Hitachi or Shimotsuke. Thus, Korechika dismissed his soldiers and resumed a relaxed posture, confident that there was no longer any threat. But on the first day of the 10th month, late at night, a commotion arose. The waterfowl on a nearby pond took flight, their wings beating loudly. Korechika, alarmed, gathered his retainers, saying, "The enemy is upon us. The birds' distress reveals their approach. Prepare for battle." He sent one retainer on horseback to scout the situation. The scout returned, reporting, "The fields to the south are covered with troops. I cannot see how many, but they spread as far as 4 or 5 cho." Hearing this, Korechika prepared for battle, but he had only about 20 retainers left. Thinking, "This will be our last stand," he sent his wife, ladies-in-waiting, and children, including his young son, Saimon Daisuke Shigetada, into the mountains to hide. As the enemy forces drew near, Korechika and his men fought valiantly, but were vastly outnumbered. His home was set ablaze, and those who attempted to flee were shot down. Some were burned alive within the house, while others were killed by arrows as they tried to escape. At dawn, the battlefield was littered with bodies, and Korechika's mansion was reduced to ashes. Among the dead were about 80 people, including men, women, and children. The attackers searched for Korechika's body, but the corpses were so charred that they could not distinguish him. Believing that Korechika was dead, the enemy forces returned to their camp. However, Korechika had survived. Disguising himself in a woman's robe and disheveling his hair, he slipped out during the chaos, clutching a sword. He hid in a thick reed bed by a river, clinging to a willow tree for safety. When Korechika's retainers found him, they were overjoyed, falling to their knees in relief. After gathering provisions and clothing from nearby households, they helped Korechika escape further into the wilderness. Despite the victory and the destruction of Korechika's household, the enemy leader, Sawa Kashi no Shiro, still had doubts. He said, "We should have taken Korechika's head and displayed it to be sure of his death. Without proof, his survival may haunt us." Thus, the story has been passed down. The tale of Minamoto no Yorimitsu shooting a fox at the imperial palace. Once upon a time, when Emperor Sanjo reigned, the crown prince resided at Higashi Sanjo Palace. One day, as the crown prince strolled along the southern veranda of the palace, a few courtiers were stationed nearby in the western corridor. In the meantime, a fox appeared on the eaves of the temple to the southeast and curled up there. Minamoto no Yorimitsu, the crown prince's assistant, was also present. Being the son of Tada no Mitsunaka, Yorimitsu was a renowned warrior, feared and respected throughout the realm. The crown prince, recognizing this, handed him a bow and arrow and commanded, "Shoot that fox on the southeast eaves." However, Yorimitsu replied, "I will not shoot." While others may fire their arrows at sack without much concern, for someone like me, failing to hit the target would be an unbearable disgrace. Even if I were to aim carefully, it would be difficult to hit such a distant target. In my youth, I shot deer and other game quite effortlessly, but now I no longer have the same skill. At this distance, I can't even predict where the arrow might fall. He thought, perhaps if I delay long enough, the fox will flee. Yet the fox, lying there in the west, appeared sound asleep and showed no intention of escaping. As time passed, the crown prince pressed him again, saying, "Shoot it earnestly." Yorimitsu, troubled by the insistence, took the bow and string, muttering, "If I had the strength, I might give it a try, but this bowstring is far too heavy. If I miss, the arrow will fall far short, and that would be even more embarrassing than missing the target entirely. What am I to do?" He pulled up the sleeve of his robe, drew the bow to its fullest, and released the arrow. It flew so swiftly that it was almost invisible, hitting the fox squarely in the chest. The fox raised its head, tumbled over, and fell into the pond. Everyone, from the crown prince to the courtiers, marveled at how such a light bow with a heavy string could hit the target, a feat considered nearly impossible. The fox, having fallen into the water, died, and a servant was sent to retrieve and dispose of the body. Later, the crown prince, deeply impressed, immediately summoned the imperial stables and gifted Yorimitsu with a horse. Yorimitsu went down to the courtyard, accepted the horse, and after bowing deeply, made this statement: "This was not my skill. It was the help of my ancestral guardian deity who ensured that I would not bring shame upon my family." He then took his leave. Afterwards, whenever Yorimitsu met with his close relatives, he would say, "That was not my arrow. It was the work of a higher power." This story spread, and people throughout the land praised Yorimitsu's remarkable achievement. Thus, the story has been passed down. The Story of the Thief Hakama-datari, Chapter 7. Once upon a time, there was a notorious chief thief named Hakama-datari. He was renowned for his bravery, strength, speed, skill, and cleverness, making him unmatched in the world. His method of operation involved watching for opportunities to steal from anyone. One October, he was seeking clothing, thinking, "I might find some clothes if I look around," and so he wandered to various places. In the middle of the night, when everyone had fallen asleep and the moon was hazy, he saw someone in the main street, wearing many layers of clothing. This person appeared to be dressed in fine, elegant garments and was walking slowly while playing a flute, without showing any signs of haste. Seeing this, Hakama-datari thought, "How unfortunate that this person might be someone who could provide me with clothes." And he was delighted. He planned to rush over, knock the person down, and take the clothes. However, he found the person's belongings frightening, so he approached cautiously, taking a few streets to get closer. The person continued to play the flute without showing any sign of concern, making Hakama-datari think, "This must be an extraordinary individual." He followed the person for over 10 streets. Hakama-datari wondered, "Is this person really what they seem?" and decided to draw his sword and charge at them. At that moment, the person stopped playing the flute and turned around, asking, "Who are you?" Even if they were a demon or a god, it was unusual to be alone and to be chased so relentlessly. Hakama-datari felt a deep fear and thought he was about to be captured, but he couldn't find the courage to confront the person. When he was asked again, "Who are you?" Hakama-datari, feeling cornered, replied, "I am Hakama-datari, and I am here to rob you." The person responded, "I have heard of you. It is rare for such a dangerous person to come after me. Let us go together," and continued playing the flute. Seeing the person's demeanor, Hakama-datari became convinced that this was no ordinary person, and he followed them as if he were being led to his doom. They arrived at the large gate of a house. The person went inside, and soon after, they came out, summoned Hakama-datari, and gave him a thick piece of clothing, saying, "If you need clothing in the future, come and ask. Do not deceive yourself by attacking someone who is not to be trifled with." The person then went back inside. Later, Hakama-datari learned that this house belonged to Fujiwara no Yoshimasa, a man known as the regent of Setsu. Hakama-datari thought to himself, so this person was indeed who I suspected, and feeling a sense of impending death, he fled, feeling as if he had narrowly escaped with his life. Hakama-datari was later captured and told the story, remarking on the extraordinary and terrifying nature of that person. Fujiwara no Yoshimasa was not a warrior by profession, but was the child of a man named Sakshak. Despite not being a soldier, he was renowned for his courage, skill, strength, and subtle wisdom, making him a figure of great respect and fear. People would be terrified and bewildered by him, which was why he was highly regarded and not considered unreliable in his role. However, it was said that he had no descendants, which some attributed to the fact that he was not originally from a warrior family. Thus, the story has been passed down. The story of Minamoto no Yorichika, Chapter 9. Once upon a time, there was a nobleman named Minamoto no Yorichika who served as the governor of Kawachi. He was the son of Tada no Michimasa, a renowned warrior. Yorichika was known for his prowess in the martial arts and was highly respected by the public for his abilities. As a result, he was feared and revered throughout the land. During his time as the governor of Hitachi, he had to confront a warrior named Taira no Tadatsune, who was powerful and had significant influence over the provinces of Kazusa and Shimosa. Tadatsune had become so powerful that he disregarded the orders from the governor of Hitachi and ignored the public affairs. Yorichika was determined to confront Tadatsune and punish him for his disobedience. However, Tadatsune had cleverly concealed all the boats needed to cross the inner sea where his residence was located. As a result, Yorichika's army faced difficulty in crossing the sea to reach Tadatsune's stronghold. The sea was vast and difficult to navigate, and the only known crossing was a shallow path, about 10 feet wide, which was essential for the army's passage. Yorichika, unaware of the exact details of the shallow crossing, summoned a man named Otsu no Osuke Naruhira to take a small boat and approach Tadatsune's stronghold. He instructed Naruhira to find a way to cross the sea, and if Tadatsune did not respond to his message, Naruhira was to return with the boat and report back. As Naruhira set out, Yorichika's army, consisting of around 2,000 men, gathered at the shore. The army looked formidable, their bows shining in the morning sunlight, creating a spectacle that amazed those who saw it. Despite the grandeur of the army, the sea was still a significant obstacle. In the meantime, Tadatsune remained calm and sent a message to Yorichika saying that he would not surrender easily, and that Yorichika should either come prepared for a prolonged siege or find another way to cross the sea. Tadatsune had prepared his defenses and was ready for a potential confrontation. Yorichika, seeing the difficulties and the hiding of boats, was advised by his men that crossing the sea was indeed the only viable option. They suggested that the shallow path might be known to some within the army. A man named Takamune, who was familiar with the shallow crossing, led the way across the shallow path with a bundle of reeds for guidance. As the army crossed the shallow path, which was deeper than expected but still passable, Tadatsune realized that his defenses were compromised. He had to make a decision quickly and was forced to surrender. Yorichika, upon seeing Tadatsune's defeat, decided to return without further confrontation. The army withdrew, and Tadatsune's stronghold was effectively neutralized. This victory cemented Yorichika's reputation as a formidable warrior. From then on, Minamoto no Yorichika was recognized as an exceptionally skilled and intimidating warrior. His descendants continued to serve in military roles, upholding the legacy of their ancestor, and this story has been passed down through the generations.